Welcome back to Scandalous Los Angeles TV, where we expose the exposers. The other day, Reggie and John down there at Bomb first invited Don from the Dossier podcast and former FBI agent Phil Carson back onto their panel for a follow-up discussion of some sort, and of course it went left. I'm not sure why Reggie was bold enough to bring Phil Carson back on his panel. The first time Reggie brought him on his show, Carson ended up exposing Reggie's listeners to the fact that Reggie was a 137 source informant for the FBI. Well, this time, Phil is able to get Reggie to arrogantly admit that he helped the FBI put former Compton Mayor Omar Bradley behind bars. Once again, Reggie reminds all of us just who his loyalty lies with. For some reason in today's world, an informant of this magnitude is ignored by a lot of people and welcomed with open arms. People should make no mistake when it comes to Reggie Wright. He is unlike any individual that you have ever come across. Marion Knight entrusted him, and we see where he is today. Let's not mention Marion's entourage. We all saw what happened to them. Everybody except Reggie, he never had one shot sent his way. Even though Buntry was murdered in a car that was in Reggie's name, no one has ever managed to shoot a single shot at Reggie himself. He's been a suspect in multiple murders, including two of the highest profile murders in the history of the United States, Tupac Shakur and Christopher Wallace. Not only has he been a suspect in these murders, he's managed to be an informant at the exact same time, for the exact same crime. This is the man responsible for CS2 back.
Okay, so that's that. For those of y'all that wanted to, we just try to give y'all information on current events that's going on, and I think Phil did a great job. Before we get into the Reggie and the Phil and Reggie being Phil, snitch and all of that, and all of this, we'll try to take some more decent and mature questions from Phil while we got somebody that really knows this stuff, or Don. We'd like to deal with them and ask them questions, and then we can deal with all you trolls.
You know what? I want to clear one thing up, though, really quickly. Actually, a couple things up. Real simple. Okay. First of all, Russ Poole was a 137 confidential informant of mine at the FBI.
Okay.
Without question. Okay, I can speak about that because he's no longer with us. He passed away, I think, in like 2015. It's a standard practice of the FBI, and it's one of the reasons why we oftentimes have very good relationships with informants, and people feel comfortable and safe coming to talk to us and provide information, is because back in the day, there were two kinds of sources. One was a 270 source. That was a qualification. And that's somebody that has something that they're trying to work off. Let's say, I arrested a guy on drug trafficking or bank robbery or whatever the case may be. And he now realizes he's up shit creek and he wants to cooperate, and he's willing to testify. That would be a mandatory requirement for him to be opened up as a 270 source. He has to be willing to testify. Okay? That's somebody that can get disclosed to the court, and we will put him up on a witness stand if we have to have him testify in a trial. The other kind of source is what they call a 137. That is somebody that we will not disclose. We would not disclose that to a judge. And we keep that very private. We don't use their name in reports. But we basically, we treat them the same in terms of when we get information from them, we do our due diligence, we corroborate things, because you never know if somebody's trying to cooperate just to kind of hurt a competitor or another company or get back at somebody. But Russ Poole is a 137. Now, I can't say anything about you, Reggie, because I respect you and I respected the relationship that we had. But if you want to explain to the people, if you had any type of relationship with the FBI, that's going to be on you. And I can either agree or disagree.
Okay, and I'll explain it. The only FBI agent that I ever remember meeting with was a gentleman by the name of Dan McMullen. And that was in 97, about 96 or 97. Him and John, they were partners. And that was
who else? Who else did you say?
Well, I said John. He was an ATF agent.
Okay. What other, have you ever had any other type of relationship with the FBI?
With one other gentleman, and I think his name was LJ. And that's when I brought a lady friend of Suge Knight's, I'll say that, down to meet with him regarding some activity that's going on in Vegas at the nightclub.
Okay. Do you mind if I tell your audience my relationship with LJ Conley?
Okay, go ahead.
Are you cool with that?
Yeah, you said y'all were partners.
Okay, yeah, we were partners.
Okay.
Now, are you cool with me talking about any type of what you're just speaking about right now about meeting with LJ? I just want to make sure you're cool with that.
Yeah.
Okay. I have met you several times. I was always with LJ. We were partners.
And when you say several times, how many times? And where was that at? At the FBI? And that was...
No, it was in different areas of Compton. I've met your father.
You may have met my father, but I have never met with you. Go ahead.
Okay. You have met with me. It is documented. You were very helpful, very cooperating. You provided a lot of good information. We did several different operations, including, I think we even talked about it a few weeks ago, about the information that you provided that
you said over to Vegas. You said something, not the Vegas thing, because you said something about a raid where Suge Knight got arrested or got raided.
Separate. That's something totally separate.
What other operation then? Tell me the other operation.
The information you provide.
Go ahead.
No, here's the thing. Reggie.
You gotta be. Only other time I met with LJ was about some school fires. Only other time I met with LJ was about some school fires. Only other time I met with LJ was about some school fires.
Okay. I put it this way. I mean, that's not, I don't think we want to go down.
We do. We want to go down that road.
You want to go?
Yeah.
We do want to go down that road. We do want to go down that road. We do want to go down that road.
I want to go because I want to hear where you took, because I almost got some amnesia or something, or you got me mixed up with somebody else.
I'm not. No, honest to God, I'm not. And okay.
Please.
You provided information, and we followed people. They took us to Vegas. You provided us information regarding God, what was his name? Percy? I'm trying to think if that was his first name or last name, about some contracts that were going on in Compton, because
Omar Belly. That's what the school fires.
Okay.
The school fires.
Let him finish, Reggie, and then you talk.
We're getting there.
Yeah,
but we met
Mayor Omar Bradley. Correct. Okay, well, I'll tell my stuff when he tried to hire or give some money for a security contract regarding school fires, and was going to try to set up a guy that had sued me that I was trying to get. His name was Leo something, and they were trying to get me to bribe or to give them some kickback. Omar Bradley said some kickback for a school contract, and that's what I'll talk to LJ about. When he tried to hire or give some money for a security contract regarding school fires, and was going to try to set up a guy that had sued me that I was trying to get. His name was Leo something, and they were trying to get me to bribe or to give them some kickback. Omar Bradley said some kickback.
It has been something that people was setting people up in Compton, from what I could see.
I was very shocked that the United States government had entered into that community and spent so many years with such intensity trying to corrupt public officials. And I know from their point of view, it was a sting operation. It was designed to see if public officials would accept bribes, and they don't see themselves as corrupting people, but I thought they went really overboard in that case, and I was quite offended by it.
They were harassing us. Our phones were being tapped. They were following us. They were sending various informants.
Omar Bradley and I were invited to a dinner, and we went to the dinner, And when we went to the dinner, they had some people there, and my own cousin, Reverend Fisher. It was supposed to be a dinner for him. So we went to the dinner to celebrate with him. And they had people in there. They had a white businessman and another white man I didn't even know. And I didn't know him until I went to the grand jury and I saw that he was an FBI man.
For a school contract, and that's what I'll talk to LJ about.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. You're correct.
Okay.
What was the Vegas thing? Was that about the nightclub?
Huh?
Was the Vegas thing?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
That was some other information that we got through Reggie and some other people in Compton that it involved the same people that were involved in what you're talking about with Mayor Bradley and some of the other players there. Oh. And yeah, so we did a nice fun operation, and it took us to Vegas. And
well, I don't know what y'all did, but I know.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. This is the easiest way to explain it is because this is where I want to be careful. When somebody provides us information, whether it be a source or somebody that just is a citizen that just feels like they're doing the right thing, we don't tell those people like updates or tell them, okay.
I was trying to get Omar locked up. He had got rid of the Compton Police Department illegally.
When you was mayor, I know some people was upset when you got rid of the Compton Police Department. Is that something you would have changed or go back on?
Absolutely not.
You wouldn't, being that the top number 1 and 2 guys, Lee Bach and Paul Tanaka, was involved in a lot of corruptions. I mean, they had gangs over there in the LA Sheriff's Station.
They had gangs in the Compton PD.
Okay, well,
But here's the deal. Under the Compton PD. Mm-hmm. Now, I was the mayor for this, so that's why I don't have to dream any of this up. Right. We were doing 135 murders a year. Dang. When the sheriff came, it dropped down to 27 murders a year.
Oh, okay.
It went down to 1 year where there was only 13 murders. Now, I, being a mayor and being somebody who understood the hood, I understood at some point we got to make a decision. And the decision was simply this. Do we want 135 murders a year and keep a black police department?
Yeah.
Or do we want 27 murders a year and have a police department that is not necessarily black? And the reason why the murders, in my opinion, were so rampant under the Compton PD is because they were involved in some of it. And the reason why the murders, in my opinion, were so rampant under the Compton PD is because they were involved in some of it.
All right. It was this dude, it's this guy named Little Rod, Roger Reed, and George. They had this boy named Vincent Buchanan, who was V-Dog. He got killed in Compton, tortured, dropped off, handcuffed, dropped off on Central in front of the cemetery. They were real tight with him. He was, a real active, cool, Fruitown Piru dude, V-Dog, Vincent Buchanan. Suge's in prison when this incident happened, 98, 99, I don't know. That's when it happened. Now word is, police kidnapped him. Guys wear police jackets and stuff like that. He's handcuffed. So who's number one suspect when you hear police in Compton? Handcuffed. Reggie Jr.
The people that they knew.
Yeah, it ain't funny, but damn, yeah.
The people that they knew were committing the murders.
He was out there bashing us, and I knew he was dirty, and I was trying to get Omar locked up.
Reggie and Perrodin were close. The Wrights funded his mayoral campaign with money they stole from Suge Knight's Death Row Records, and also then funded the targeting of Omar Bradley to put him in prison for paying for a dinner on his credit card. Payback for shutting down the Compton PD. Yeah, you know, I don't know. Reggie was close with a lot of people there. You know, I don't know if it was parroting too much, but I do know, you know, he was very close with our, you know, with the chief, you know, at that time, and Huey. So they were best of friends, you know.
BFFs.
Yeah, and yeah, you know, and I do feel Omar Bradley did have a vendetta against Compton PD for, you know, joining forces with the feds to hook him up and, you know, file a case against him and go to prison for that, you know. But I heard he got it expunged, got it erased from his record, you know. I don't, you know, hey, it's all water under the bridge.
I was trying to get Omar locked up. You
know, I lost everything that I owned, my home, all of my personal belongings are gone. I'm destitute. I have nothing. No home, nothing. No car. I have nothing. And when people have the capacity and the ability to reach out and take you from your family and strip you from your dignity and take everything from you but your God, these are very powerful people. These are very powerful people. These are very powerful people. And I'm afraid of them. I don't fear them, but I'm afraid of what they'll do if I talk too much.
He had got rid of the Compton Police Department illegally.
This is how disgusting Reggie Wright Jr. is. He just said he was trying to get Omar locked up because he illegally got rid of the Compton PD. Omar Bradley just said that under the Compton PD there were 137 murders a year, but under the sheriffs it dropped to 27. For some reason that made Reggie want Omar locked up. This shows that black and Hispanics being murdered in the city of Compton was something that Reggie Wright enjoyed. 137 murders in a 10-square-mile radius, under the Wright crime family Compton PD, a cabal of crooked cops. You guys don't ever forget that this is who CS2 Back brings to Clubhouse with him. This is who brought him into the music industry.
You shouldn't make jokes about Reggie Wright. Why do most other niggas don't make jokes and fuck with Reggie Wright? Why do most other niggas don't make jokes and fuck with Reggie Wright?
He was out there bashing us, and I knew he was dirty, and I was trying to get Omar locked up.
Because let me tell y'all something. Ain't nothing worse than a dirty cop.
No
And
doubt.
he's you think a snitch is low. You got a cat parading around in your neighborhood. He in a car you paying for, burning up gas your mom and daddy buying, rolling around, throwing you up against the hood. But guess what? When he get done, he going to cop or he going to blow. Feel me? He in the same game you in.
Right.
You go to the pen, he get a medal.
But
But he getting paid. And everybody know who I'm talking about. I ain't got to say no names.
Right.
They finally busted the people that I was talking about.
Right.
A multi-state drug ring with ties to multiple gangs and a Mexican cartel busted up in Memphis.
We're talking about 22 people were indicted this morning. The charges, and there are plenty of them, include drugs and money laundering.
Police confiscated more than 46 pounds of drugs. We have also learned the bust netted members of both the Grape Street Crips and the Petterol Mafia gangs.
Fox 13's chief investigative reporter Jim Spiewak live downtown. And Jim, this investigation just didn't happen overnight.
It certainly did not. This has been going on since at least 2014. We learned here in the federal building behind me a little earlier today. Fast forward to today, we now know 22 people have been indicted. 16 of those people we know live right here in the Mid-South. Federal prosecutors are accusing 22 gang members of shipping money through the mail from Memphis, 1,800 miles away to Los Angeles, California. Prosecutors go on to allege meth, heroin, cocaine, pills, and pot were all sent back to be sold here. It's a case acting U.S. Attorney Larry Lorenzi calls unusual.
The drugs that were sent to Memphis was a smorgasbord of drugs.
Investigators say 17 of the people are members of the Memphis Petterol Mafia, a local street gang that sells several kinds of drugs. The investigation started years ago when police found out gangs were selling drugs around the Bella Vista apartments. The investigation picked off at least one top-level OG.
It has stopped the pipeline where drugs freely flowed between California and Memphis.
Also indicted was Eric Avendado, who investigators say is connected to a Mexican cartel, but would not say which one.
They are using a variety of ways to move the drugs into Memphis.
I asked Lorenzi if an informant was used to help crack the years-long case.
We can't speak to the actual facts of the case or the actual techniques that were used to investigate it. Good question, though.
What Lorenzi did say is that an alleged dangerous drug pipeline here in Memphis is now busted up. And 5 of those people named in the indictment we found out live in California. And an interesting takeaway, on Monday of this week, I reported on an indictment, a federal indictment, where drugs were allegedly sent between Memphis and California. I asked investigators if these 2 cases are related. They told me they are not. I'm reporting live downtown tonight, Jim Spiewak, Fox 13 News.
You're correct.
That's correct. Okay.
And now the interesting thing is once somebody like you provides information like that, then we're good. We go, and we'll still have contact with you. We'll still meet with you just to see if you have any updated information. Just to kind of, when we do file reviews, they don't like to see like huge gaps, months and months in between when we talk with the source, because a lot of things can change with that source or with information. But that doesn't mean when we meet with that source, we're giving them updates on, okay, yeah, this is what we did with your information. This is what we found out. This is what we're now doing investigative-wise. These are the new people that we're looking at. We won't do that. No agency would do that. But at the same time, we did continue to meet with you. I'd probably say I met with you probably 5 or 6 times, probably half a dozen times.
And I bet you were just about Omar Bradley or those school fires. I only remember 2 or 3 times meeting them regarding that.
Okay.
Well, I mean, isn't this like a potato situation?
Yeah, it's 20 years ago.
Reggie. Yeah.
Anyway,
that's what I'm saying. 2 and then the one time I brought down regarding the Vegas, that's doing my job. That's the only time I ever met with him.
Hey, Reggie, I'm not fighting you over this stuff. We appreciated you. Hey, Reggie, I'm not fighting you over this stuff. We appreciated you offering assistance, and like I said, one of the reasons that I think the FBI is very successful in a lot of it. First of all, the FBI or any law enforcement department that does investigations, we do not exist if we cannot make people feel comfortable about talking to us. And the way that you make people feel comfortable about talking to you is that you don't divulge who they are and you don't talk behind their back.
I don't have a problem about that. My problem is, like, I'm over here providing information regarding things that was going on at Death Row. That's what I was arguing about, and was saying I was not an informant of LJ's or yours regarding anything regarding Death Row. It was regarding the school fires and getting a contract with the school. And
I have a quick question. What were you bringing the girl to the FBI for? What were you bringing the girl to the FBI for?
You've discussed that on a live stream, Reggie. Go ahead.
Huh?
You've discussed that on a live stream before.
I'll tell it.
I know.
I ain't got no problem. I'm not trying to cover up shit.
Oh, I'm telling the audience that, these aren't new questions, so go ahead.
I brought them down because they were doing the Vegas politicians out there where she was questioned about some inappropriate activities that went down for trying to open up the club. And they wanted to know about that.
Like some
and
payoffs.
So they would come raiding her house, coming to Death Row or anything like that. I was contacted by either Mark Anderson, who was a fellow Compton cop, or LJ. I believe I met LJ through Mark Anderson, and I told him, hey, I will bring her down as head of security for Death Row and let her explain what happened.
The girl Reggie is talking about is a girl named Theresa Swan, who is the mother of one of Marion Knight's children. She is also the one who said she gave Poochie the money from Marion to kill Biggie. Not only did Reggie take her to the FBI, like you just heard him explain, he also took her to Greg Kading and the LAPD to give them the story that would close Kading's book. So not only did Reggie put Omar Bradley behind bars, he also helped place the blame on Marion Knight for the murder of Biggie.
Where did the whole Poochie theory come in? It kind of seemed like it came from Reggie at Death Row Camp. And I don't know, could that be a red herring at all?
Well, you allow yourself all of these options. You don't go into it and just commit yourself to a theory until you've had a chance to look into it, investigate it, explore it, and do all of those things, and then hopefully substantiate it. And so with Poochie, his name had come up early on in the investigation. His name was on paperwork from the very beginning. So it wasn't anything new. It wasn't Reggie told us about Poochie. He was already in. We knew that Poochie had been involved in other murders. He was wanted at another time for another murder. So he was always a person that we were aware of. He was just not a suspect in the murder until we started to explore the possibility of him being a suspect in the murder. And that came at the time when I think Roderick Reed.
It's this guy named Little Rod. Roderick Reed
was the first one to send a letter to a guy named Kevin Hackey.
Yeah.
And in that letter, it mentions Poochie. And Roderick Reed from prison is saying, hey, he knows Poochie killed Biggie. So we had that information early on in the case. So we then began to develop that lead and see where it went. And of course, Reggie enters the picture when we interview him. Reggie doesn't really tell us so much about Poochie. He just leads us into a direction where we meet a female. He just leads us into a direction where we meet a female. Who then substantiates some of the things that could have, we believed could have been true.
Right. Just so you know, Reggie.
Wait a minute, Phil. Is that correct? How it happened? Hello.
I don't know.
Reggie, I'm not speaking about this female.
Okay, I don't want you to.
She's not on the phone with us.
Okay, all right.
And again, I'm trying to be respectful of.
I got you. Okay, I remember. I'll tell you.
But one thing I will tell you is, just because you provide information on a particular topic, your involvement in the hip hop industry or the people that you rub shoulders with or the people that you know, if you don't think your name came up on numerous occasions regarding numerous different things and events, regarding the whole death row cases, which were voluminous in terms of the number of cases, or in terms of my case regarding trying to solve who killed Biggie, then you would be sadly misguided.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying.
I was down there providing information.
Yeah, he's trying to just make sure it's clear that he wasn't an informant.
And I wasn't down there saying, oh, so-and-so killed Biggie.
This is the next level stuff I'm talking about. Reggie just admitted that he worked with the feds to get the mayor put behind bars. Even after his own admission, the man is still saying that he isn't an informant. He'll be right back on Bomb First tomorrow, calling somebody else a rat. It's exactly like his protege CS2 back. 137 informants, playing on the stupidity of the people.
So-and-so did that. I have never did that.
And we've never said that you did. We never said that you...
These motherfuckers on this YouTube are saying.
Okay, well, maybe these friends of yours that are listening or watching on YouTube or whatever.
I mean, Reggie, what would the fellas in Compton say? They say, would they have...
That was my job. My job was to deal with the law enforcement.
Reggie and his buddy John have a pretty cold scheme they're running here. So Marion Knight hired Reggie as the head of security, just so Reggie could take Theresa Swan to the LAPD to help pin the murder of Christopher Wallace on him. No big deal. That was his job, according to these two.
Okay, and that's fine. I think it's fantastic. But, to sit here and parse out when you talk to the FBI, when you didn't talk to the FBI, whether you talked to the FBI.
Because he's showing he's not an informant of the FBI.
Snitch. It's a difference between cooperating with bringing people down to talk about stuff and all that, than sitting up there saying, so-and-so did this. so-and-so did that.
How about this, Reg? Why don't you go into a federal prison and talk to the guys from the 80s and the 90s who sold drugs and killed people, who didn't talk to anybody, and ask them whether, if you go down and talk to the FBI about anything, what you are considering. And that's like,
Okay, so you guys have an agenda to paint him as a snitch. Got it.
You've been on that. You've been on that motherfucker.
That's why I didn't want him on here, Reggie. That's why I didn't want him on here, Reggie. That's why I didn't want him on here, Reggie.
Oh, John, let me deal with him. Go ahead. You've been on that guy's channel and been professing that you got information.
I don't care about anyone's channel. I'm pointing to something out.
That I'm a snitch or something like that. But now you're saying that I'm doing this in the scope of my job. And it's not like I got on the stand or pointed somebody out, and then you want to make it, a cop shouldn't go and or head of security of a company, a big corporation, shouldn't go and talk to the police. Oh, that's
hey, Reggie, let me step in for a second. I think we're kind of talking over each other. When you, and again, you've admitted that you've worked with the FBI, so we're clear on that.
I admitted that I have brought.
Okay.
I admitted to Omar Bradley. Go ahead.
I understand this. For every time that you spoke with the FBI, we never told anybody. Nobody ever knew. Reggie, take a breath for a second. Okay. We never ever would tell anybody, or we never did tell anybody that you're cooperating or you're providing information or anything like that.
Yes, your boy Don here on Choke No Joke channel, who's related to you, who everybody considers y'all are the same.
Who's John? I don't even know who John. I don't know who John is.
Don. I said Don. D-O-N. Don. I'm talking about Don.
All I spoke about is what transpired when you talked to Phil the first time.
Reggie, let me clear this up, because I think you got the wrong conception here of Don or what we've said about you. You got to understand something. You might be providing information about Omar Bradley, but you don't know if Omar Bradley is providing information about you. You don't know if the people that are working security for you at Death Row Records, you don't know if they're cooperating either.
I don't care.
Hold on, Reggie, hold on.
I have
Reggie,
plenty of people that have talked against me and talk and try to say stuff about me. That don't mean it's true. Right?
Can I finish?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Reggie's not sick right now, full of COVID right now. So
I know I like it. I like it when you're fired up like that. But no, here. We don't tell people who's cooperating with us, which means if you provide us information, we don't tell people. Just like if other people provide information to us about you, we don't tell you. Doesn't mean that we believe everything. We would never ever run. We would always corroborate things, or we get other independent sources to corroborate things. That's like one of the big things. Not to divert over to the Biggie thing, but that's one of the big things. Is it's not like you have one person or two people providing information on who was involved or who covered up or who did this or who did that. But when you have multiple people, and in this case, forget about talking about the Biggie, let's just talk about your situation at Death Row Records. Okay. If you think for a second that you were the only person at Death Row Records that was providing information to the FBI,
we know that's right.
You would be crazy. Hold on. No, it does. It does because the information that people provide, we go out and we independently corroborate it, and we do operations, we do undercover meets and things like that. We wire people up. So I don't want you to think for a second that somebody tells us one thing and then we just run with it, and they tell us like, yeah, you know what? Reggie's involved in this, that, and the other. We don't just run with that, but we'll corroborate it because we want to find out.
What the FBI did. I'm not talking about what the FBI did or what Reggie did in 1997, 1998, 1999. I'm talking about what Don is going over there in 2024.
Well, how about this, Reggie? I'm sorry, whatever I said on Choke No Joke.
I'm just trying to prove that this is not sexual. A snitch is somebody that's working within an organization and going back, providing information, not telling Suge Knight, hey man, I'm taking your girl down there. We going to talk because these motherfuckers want to talk to us about X, Y, or Z. That's not a snitch.
Let's
I mean, this to me is boring. I think you can ask any
boring
gangster.
to you guys because it's killing our narrative.
Oh no! I mean, listen.
Why did Biggie's mom drop the case? I'm curious what you guys' perspective on why Biggie's mom dropped the lawsuit.
Biggie's mom never dropped the lawsuit.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Oh, but she didn't.
Did you just say the mom didn't drop the lawsuit?
Why she did not pursue it a second time?
Why didn't she pursue it a second time?
Correct.
That's a question for Perry Sanders.
Correct, but that's what he meant. That's what he meant.
That's
why
all
did she? Why didn't she not? That's all he did.
And then one more question, real quick. A user asked. It's Alex Alonso from Street TV. He asked, ask Phil Carson about his relationship with Black Special Agent Wade Lee and his undercover work in Compton.
Who asked that question?
Street. Another YouTuber.
Yeah, Street TV. It's YouTube channel.
Yeah, he has a big YouTube channel.
I'll answer it this way because I don't want to speak on behalf of Wade because yes, I know Wade. Reggie, remember when we were when I ran into you and Mob James about 3-4 weeks ago?
Correct. Hold on. Let me tell where, because y'all people like to. We was at ABC Studios in Glendale, filming a piece that's about to come out on Nightline.
Okay.
Okay. So is that correct? Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, do you remember when I was sitting there talking? First of all, I had never met Mob James before. I was familiar with who he was, obviously, through the Gangster
And guess what? Guess who you didn't even also recognize? You wasn't even for sure if it was me, right?
I knew it was you.
Oh, you knew it was me?
No,
okay.
No, it was you. I was just stunned. I hadn't seen you in what, 15, 20 years.
Yeah. And I was in a wheelchair.
You're in a wheelchair and stuff like that. But no, I mean, I'm the one that came up to you, right?
Correct. After and Reggie.
But anyways, getting back to this question,
yes.
because I find it pretty interesting. Because this person that asked the question obviously has more knowledge than what anybody on this call realizes. Because this person that asked the question obviously has more knowledge than what anybody on this call realizes.
Correct.
Remember when I walked up to you and I walked up to Mob James, and one of the things that I asked him, I said, hey, do you recall the name Wade? And I asked him that. And he just says, no. Okay? Well, he should. And I'm gonna leave it at that in terms of one of the things that I
know why Street TV. Now I know why Street TV.
Yeah, now I do too.
And I know now, that's why I was ignoring.
One of the things. Here's the thing. One of the things that I wanted to do, and I had mentioned this to Don way early on. And this is when Greg Kading was always on. He was on Gangster Chronicles and Vlad TV and stuff like that. And I said the only way that I would go on Gangster Chronicles if they had the entire crew there, and I would go down the line and I would put each one of those people in a corner and ask them questions and see if they were going to tell the truth or lie in front of their own homeboys. Because I'll tell you what, every one of those guys on Gangster Chronicles has a story, and it's not a story that they want to get out. I'll leave it at that. So for this person to ask, hold on.
Hold on. You talking about Reggie Wright in Gangster Chronicles, or you talking about the Gangster Chronicles now? Or you just talking about Reggie
back
then?
No, I'm talking about back then.
So you talking about Alex? So you talking about Alex?
I'm talking about all those guys. Hey, trust me.
Reggie story we done told. Is there any more to this Reggie story? That situations, I don't know what happened, like I said, from the time we met, but the only times I ever talked about anything to Phil or LJ was regarding.
Yeah, we cleared.
I know that, but you got to say that. When you go back and say shit like that.
Reggie, get off this thing about using this just to try to clear your name or promote whatever. I'm letting you know.
I'm trying to promote. I don't need 573 people in the chat cell for that. I get.
First of all, Reggie,
I get this in a half hour, so I don't need that.
Okay, first of all, since you brought it up a couple times, let's just speak the truth here, okay?
Okay.
Over 500,000, and I've seen the analytics. I have the data. Over 500,000 subscribers to the dossier. So every time you try to crack a joke about saying we only had 1,000 or there are only 1,500 people, you know what? That's a lie, and you don't
Let me
so
say
just
this.
leave it. Just
I
leave,
don't
let
know.
that
I
go.
was talking
Let
about.
that go.
I was talking about your choke no joke friend. I don't know what you get on podcasts.
Just-
I don't know how to read
okay,
motherfucking podcasts.
so just let that go.
But why do you care about him so much? That's so weird. Like,
Because I hate people that trolls Reggie Wright. And then people that go over there and support now talking about Reggie's an informant because Reggie doing that for a motherfucker that don't even know what he's talking about.
But we moved on from it. We moved on. I
got it.
Take more questions.
Okay. All right.
Take more. Come on. What's the next question?
Listen, hey Reggie, I'm apologizing to you. I'm sorry. Let's move on and take more questions. I think this is interesting. We already had one interesting question about.
That was a hell of a
Biggie.
question, by the way. Kudos to that person, because they obviously know more than.
Yeah, and they hate James, so
Yeah.
that's probably why they asked that
Okay. There you go. All right. Next question.
question.
All right.
You got one.
How many times,
when I say
Don?
trolls, let me just say this. When I say trolls, I'm talking about the ones with negative stuff. I don't even have a problem with people that ask decent questions. Just to say, the bull crap is what I call trolls.
Reggie, let me.
I'm not talking to you two brothers. I'm not talking to you two now. I'm talking to you.
Let me throw this one thing out there, and then we can move on. Okay.
Okay.
If there is ever an opportunity where you can get all of the people from the Gangster Chronicles, from the original cast, and you brought them all together, and you brought me and Don in there, you will be guaranteed to see fireworks. I promise you, and it will make people uncomfortable.
Well, Reggie I'm not trying to shit on Alex Alonso.
I'm not trying to shit on anybody either.
I'm not
All
trying
I'm
to shit
saying
on
is-
James McDonald. And Reggie is here, so whatever you got to say, and I thought we done addressed it, we can do it. Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I'll just leave it at that, and people can read into whatever they want from that.
So Reggie
question.
only worried about Reggie right now.
Okay,
so
well, that's
anybody else want to deal with
That's
whatever?
apparent.
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
By the way, I like Mob.
you told
I like
me not
Mob
to bring
James.
up, like you told me not to bring up other people into it. They're not here to defend themselves.
That's why I'm not talking about them.
You
No,
the
that's
one
why I'm
that's
not
talking about them.
No, I just said if you want to get some fireworks for your podcast,
I don't
get all those
need no
people together.
fireworks. I know
I'm
what
sure
to
you
say about
will.
women.
I'm sure you're doing just fine. I haven't said a word about any of them. Not a word.
You just
In fact,
said there'd
I
be
was just trying to
fireworks if
say
you get them in a room and
that
corner
said there'd
them.
be fireworks, and I guarantee
But
it'll
the
be a rating demand for you,
insinuation,
Reggie.
it's the insinuation,
All right,
Phil.
let's go. What else? You say we're going to have some questions.
Sorry.
Phil, then this is Phil. Do you believe Reggie Wright Jr. or Reggie Wright Sr. had anything to do with the murder of Biggie Swan?
No.
Okay. Can I ask a question now?
That's all I need to know.
No. Can I add a little?
John, don't listen. That's a big question. That's a big thing.
That
and
is.
That don't need to be just brushed over. So go ahead and then you can elaborate, Phil.
Okay. Do I think that you are coming clean with all the information that you have of events that took place and the people that were involved within Death Row Records? And some of those people were involved in law enforcement and were involved in the killing of Biggie? No, I don't think you're providing or you're telling everything that you know. That's based on.
My question is, I have something to do with it. Yes.
No.
Okay.
Did you pull the trigger? No. Were you in the vicinity? No. Do you have information? Do you have information that is part of the full umbrella or scope of the Biggie
Before or after, is what you said?
Then I would say yes.
Before or after, did I have something to do with the murder of Biggie Smalls?
I would say you have information. Well, before. I mean, once the murder's done, it's done. There's nothing after.
Well, you say cover up and stuff, though.
When you say I knew about
not part of the cover up. No, I don't think you're. No, I know Reggie's not part of the cover up because I know who is part of it.
Okay.
That's indefensible.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother part of this case that is 100% undeniable of who was involved and how the cover up took place. I know there's idiots out there like Greg Kading who keep saying about how there's no way this crazy conspiracy theory of Agent Carson and the FBI. No, it is factual, it's documented, and it's indefensible.
Well,
It's
are
not
the
even up
documents
for
public,
discussion.
though? Are the documents public? Because to say it's factual, it's that not everybody has access to what you have.
Put it this way.
Still an open
I think
investigation or something.
There's a difference between talking about an ongoing investigation versus talking about the cover-up
Gotcha.
that 100% took place, and it's indefensible, John.
Okay.
It's all factual, it's all documented, and for anybody to say, oh, it's impossible for the LA Times and LAPD and the DA's office to be in cahoots to try to shut this down, they are 100% wrong, period. I'm not saying the entire LA Times and LAPD. People need to understand something. I do not have a problem with the LAPD. I have a problem with one person in particular.
Greg Kading?
I don't have a problem with the DA's office.
Yeah.
I have a problem with a couple people there that had serious issues that got kicked off this case. I don't have a problem with the LA Times per se. I have a serious problem with one particular
people, 12, 13 other people, 12 or 13 other law enforcement agencies from your agency as well, Jeff, that was on this case. Do they believe and concur with what you said, or do they believe and concur with the findings that Greg Kading came up with?
Without question, there is not one person, and I've spoken to people on his task force. You can watch these documentaries, the people that have, say, narrated it. There is not one person that believes Greg Kading. Not one.
Okay.
I just have a simple question to John and Reggie.
Okay, I have one for you guys too that I've been trying to squeeze in. But go ahead, Don.
What exactly do both of you think transpired?
Can I answer that, Reggie?
Yeah, that's easy. We told you. Everybody told what murder rap findings.
I'll say this, Don, and this was what I was one of the questions I was gonna ask you guys, but the reason why I believe Murder Rap's findings over what you guys are saying, and I'm not saying you guys are wrong or you're lying or whatever, because I don't think somebody's washing their hands or doing something crazy, but is there's a confession. I would love to get you guys' take on how do you explain Theresa Swan's confession?
Oh my God.
Just Don, and this is for Phil, not Don. Don, you have no experience. This is for. Don't say this is insulting. This affects somebody's life who has kids. It's not insulting.
That's the year bullshit. That's why it's insulting to you. That's why.
You know what? You guys are fucking clowns, both.
I told you not to let him on, Reggie.
I just brought your stupid ass on.
You're a clown and a rat. That's who you are. You're a fucking rat.
And you called Reggie and begged to be on this channel for the last 3 months because you guys have no fucking views.
Another character you'll appreciate who very recently also has decided to continue to have his own mouth and speak publicly online in videos is Reggie Wright Jr.
Of course.
Yeah. And I know you've done so much work around this. Why do you think he continues to partake in conversations, innuendo? He recently threatened Suge, in a video after Suge had kind of called him out in his podcast, and now these two are going at each other. What is your interpretation of why someone like that would just continue to talk? Is he just an idiot, or is there more there?
Well, it's both and. I mean, yes, he's an idiot, but he has motives as well. He definitely felt threatened by Suge and has a lot of animosity toward him, Suge, and but Suge knows stuff about Reggie. Of course, Suge would have to admit his own culpability, but he certainly knows things that, could tell the feds in particular about various things Reggie did, mainly, not just mainly, but certainly to hide assets of Death Row Records. And mean, that's for sure. I mean, the feds already know it, but I think that Reggie has managed somehow to play everybody off against everybody else, and that includes law enforcement. He is he's an informant / suspect in all of these crimes. He's an informant / suspect in all of these crimes. He's an informant / suspect in all of these crimes. So, and they've, for whatever reason, valued him as an informant more than they've wanted to target him as a suspect. And so, it keeps him relevant. It keeps him, sort of in the game. And I think that, really, I think that's what Reggie does for a living now, is talk to law enforcement about all these related cases.
You's a rat, homie.